Hello everybody and welcome back to Crusader Kings. This is the start of a new series, but it is back because this is at this point going to be our third Crusader Kings campaign. I don't yet know what the title of this campaign is going to be. You know, but I don't know yet. So it's going to be interesting. I'm going to just pop us over though to the poll that I posted here. As you can see here, more Crusader Kings 3 very thoroughly won the poll with a walloping 54%. So here we are again with more Crusader Kings. Now if we go into the comments over here, I'm not going to read through all of these, but you will notice that a large amount of these have to do with either Central Asia or India. Now, I was thinking about playing as India as it was, but we'll have to figure out how we want to handle this and what the actual rules here are going to be. So here we are back in Crusader Kings, and we're just going to go into a new game. What is this button here? Oh, that's just 1066 rags to riches. Fantastic. So I'm thinking that we will likely start in 867. And the question is, I mean, none of these are really too impactful to us. We'll just create our own. I usually like to start in 867 because it gives us the most amount of time. And here we are in 867 era Crusader Kings 3. Well, we've got Takeda over here. This was, of course, the humble beginnings of the Air Empire. We've got Prussia up here, the humble beginnings of the Prussian Empire. However, we are turning our eyes to the east. Now, I'd kind of like to do both India and Central Asia at the same time. So what if we started kind of near India, but not exactly in it, and we looked to conquer basically like, I don't know, from here eastward? Kind of along those lines? I mean, we can conquer beyond that line if we want to, but it would be interesting to start maybe up in, like, Nepal? I don't know, that would be a... I haven't done anything out in this region before, so we'll see how it goes. I was thinking about starting in South India. The reason I'm currently leaning against it is these guys look slightly spooky. However, I don't exactly know... If we look at this, did they fix being able to look at their troop count from this screen? They may have fixed that. The question is, how powerful are these guys? If we started, say, here, it might be spooky. That said, we could probably pull it off. I was also thinking about doing a Sri Lankan start, which would be interesting, to be sure. This is not subdividing into different kingdom titles, I see. Okay, or rather into different barony titles. Yeah, this screen is kind of weird, but we could start up here. We could start down here. It kind of doesn't matter because any way we go, we will have India unified relatively quickly. Kind of like how we unified this area over here. It's a similar sort of space, right? So I feel like we'll have India unified pretty quickly, and we can expand out into the rest of Asia pretty simply. I don't know, maybe we should go for Sri Lanka down here and go for kind of a little bit divided from India. Having a nice choke point here to defend at is always nice. But I'm definitely leaning towards it. I feel like this is a decent start over here. So, how old is this guy? He's 37. He's got an heir already. The question is, what kind of power levels do we have relative to the Indian mainland? I think let's do this. Okay, so we instantly are above our domain limit. Sure. Are we feudal? Let's take a look here. We are a feudal kingdom tier realm. Okay. Well, that gives us a big leg up. That said, our neighbors are going to be feudal as well. So these guys have 1,300, 1,500, 1,000, only 2,500 up here. That's not too bad. We've got about 1,000. What's our men-at-arms situation? We've got some armored footmen. We've got some light horsemen that I'm going to immediately get rid of. And we're not making much for cash. For the time being, we're going to go on to stewardship focus and wealth focus. It's just too good in the super early game. But because we're not going to be in tribal rulers for a very long time here, we are apparently starting in the tribal era for our research, but we have a large amount of this already. So that's okay. This era is not available for a little while yet, so we'll be pretty much not behind the curve, is I guess what I'm looking for. Because of that, that means that we're going to be able to start snowballing our wealth much more quickly. So I believe we'll be able to come off of wealth focus much more swiftly than we did previously. And I should have come off of wealth focus more quickly in the heir campaign, to be clear. Now, our heir is currently unmarried. Any amazing options out the gate? I mean, not exactly. Not exactly, indeed. Okay, we should probably start trying to get some congenital traits in here then, or maybe a good solid alliance. Who's this guy? He is a ways away. What about Pratihara? Could we ally with them temporarily? Having good, strong ties with them would be nice, but currently there is no such option. Okay, we'll do that. We are above our domain limit, and so we're going to have to hand one of these titles out to somebody. And if we look at this, I mean, our domain limit is pretty good as is. I think we want to hold Jaffna ourselves, most likely. We could give this to a vassal as a sort of buffer. It's an option. To be sure. And we could grant this off to somebody else, potentially. I mean, we definitely need to grant something, and we'll grant this guy. Okay. So, many of these already have holdings. In fact, all of these have holdings pre-built. That's convenient for us, to be sure. Now, we're currently lacking a marshal, and we'll put this guy in. He's not the greatest choice, but he'll be okay. Religion. Right. Let's take a look at that. So, we are Theravada, an organized Buddhist faith, whose name I probably butchered. We are male-dominated, pluralist, and theocratic. So, pluralist isn't super helpful for county conversion speed. That's for sure. Temple holdings are leased out to their holder's realm priest, who then serves them as a theocratic vassal. Interesting. So, we do have polygamous marriage. Rulers, if allowed by gender law, can have up to 4 spouses. So, up to 4. That is exactly the same as what we had previously. Now, we don't have a spouse ourselves right now. And we should probably do something about that, because we don't really want to be taking too much of a piety penalty right now. I think we'll just do something like that, and we'll come back to the others. Okay, no bastardry allowed. Divorce is always allowed. That's convenient. Cousin marriage for consanguinity is... whatever. Same-sex relations are accepted. Deviancy is shunned. Male adultery and female adultery are both shunned as well. Kinslaying dynastically is criminal. Witchcraft is shunned. The clerical gender is either, which is surprising to me. Okay. Alms and pacification for our clergy. So domain tax is minus 5% and popular opinion plus 10. Clerical marriage is disallowed, whatever. Clerical appointment is spiritual and for life. There is no head of faith, and there will never be one. Interesting. Sins include gluttony, wrath, impatience, and deceitful. And virtues include temperance, generosity, calm, honesty, astute intellectual, and scholar. Interesting. Our tenets are, of course, monasticism. Courtiers can take the vows and become a monk. Makes temperate a virtue and gluttonous a sin. Literalism, which will allow us to debate other lords of the realm at the cost of opinion to gain or lose piety. That's interesting. And it makes those traits virtues, okay? And we also have Dharmic pacifism. County conversion resistance is up. We cannot declare holy wars or raids. Okay, that's going to make things interesting. Opinion of other pacifists, plus 10, sure. Makes calm a virtue and wrathful a sin, but it does give us a domain limit. So we're going to want to build a little bit tall here then. If we look at this guy, and we're not going to declare this immediately, we actually do have a subjugation ability here. That's nice. That's certainly nice. Now, we're not going to do it, to be clear. We are absolutely not going to do that. So how do we want to get ourselves cash at this point? Because we're going to need it. We're probably going to want to play pretty chill at the beginning of this game and play fairly tall. We are not necessarily in the greatest of situations here. We could declare on this guy, but we have no CB. Fascinating. So our steward is collecting taxes. I like that. We're working on religious relations. I think that's okay. Our chancellor is working on foreign affairs, and at this size, considering we have one vassal, that's fine. Our marshal is organizing levies. This is good. And our spy master is disrupting schemes. Now, we don't really have any options for inheritance over here. So I think we're just going to proceed for now. Get ourselves our alliance to make ourselves look a little bit more powerful. And we're going to want to work on getting our military up and running. Now, I do want to look at de jure duchies over here. We start with 3 duchies here. Okay, so this is a 2-county duchy here. This is a 2-county duchy. And this is a 4-county duchy. Fascinating. So this is our current capital. It is in forest. What are the terrains up here? We've got plains, 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 and plains. Okay. Then this one is hills. Actually, we need to check where these holdings are. But I believe all of these are indeed plains. And yeah, they are. They're all plains. Okay. So we're not going to be able to build extra castles out here. That's something we need to note. To that end, we have the kingdom title that we start with. We do start at a king level. And we have no duchy level titles. This duchy is not created, and we don't have the cash to create it. Now, I would rather spend that cash on something else. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to utilize all of the castles that we have here right now for troop output, and we're going to optimize everything else to try to support that financially. Okay, so we've got ourselves a few allies. That is always good. And the question is, what is the cheapest upgrade that we can start our cash rolling with? There's forestry, there's guilds, those are like 150. Forestry is 100. Some of these already have guilds. Hunting grounds are 100. Okay. 100 to 150 is what we're going to need to go for. This is going to be a slow start. I don't think there's any doubt about that. We start off weaker than everyone else around us. And we're not super financially strong. So we need to work on our economy before we do too much else. Now, I do want to check to see, are we our culture head? Yes, we are our culture head. We're currently working on mots. We do already have crop rotation. This is, I think, acceptable. What is our current development? Our development is 7. And what is our current maximum development penalty? Let's see here. 20. So I think our steward may be better off. We're getting 1% from our domain taxes. So 4.1. I'm going to pull up a calculator here. I'm just assuming that that doesn't include that at all. So 4.1 times 1.01 is, yeah, it is not worth it to be collecting taxes right now. Let's go ahead and increase development. However, I wanted to check. Forest only gives a supply limit reduction. It doesn't give anything like development growth like this farmlands over here. Now, to be clear, we want to expand over here, and that is definitely something we're interested in doing. Like, having this, that is a 3-county duchy, and this, as our 2 duchies, might not be bad to start. Yeah, that might not be too awful. Okay, but it'll be a little bit before we can really get our hands on that. So we are absolutely going to start working on increasing development. Honestly, I think this county. Reason being, counties spread development based on other counties touching them. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 counties that are all touching this one. So I think that this is going to be our most efficient one to work on developing our development. That's a little bit redundant, but you know what I mean. Okay, so forestry and hunting grounds would have to go in over here, as well as guilds, most likely. No, we would actually, we would avoid the hunting grounds. We would put in the forestry, the guilds, and the trade port, is what we would do. And that would be okay. So we're just, of course, working on getting ourselves some finances established here. In terms of what I want to end up calling this series, I don't know yet. I do not know. I'll have to think about that one. I'll have to think about that one indeed. I have no idea what the thumbnail will look like either. Okay, so we can now construct, and we really probably should be constructing in our castles first. That said, I don't want to. Reason being, I want to get our economy online right now. So we're going to go ahead and build our forestry over here, and we'll get that underway. That will, of course, add in a little bit of inefficiency because this guy... How many taxes does he pay to us? Not a whole lot, but it'll add up. It'll certainly add up. So we're just doing this straight out the gate, and we will begin our conquests a little bit later on once we've gotten this ball rolling. It'll definitely be a slow start. I think there's no real way around that. I would love to subjugate this guy. And in fact, technically... with our allies, we'd be able to. It would take them a while to get to us. There's no doubt about that. Hey, look at that, garrisons. It would take them a while to get down here. That's the concern. That said... this is a really good county. Look at this. This is a really good county. I want this to be our capital. I'm going to do it. Except that we don't have the prestige. Of course we don't. We wouldn't have the prestige. We would need 1,500. We'll have to keep an eye out for an opportunity there, but I definitely want this to be our capital. This should be our capital county. 100%. We'll keep developing our territory over here for sure, but it'll just take some time. And that's completely okay. We've got nothing but time. We have all the time in the world right now, assuming that they don't declare on us. This guy is having some internal conflicts, and I do like to see that right now. But this is just an amazing county. It's got some jungle down here, to be clear, which is not great. But it's also got all of this farmland up here. Yeah. So, I mean, we would be able to put some things into this jungle, for sure, but I want this. I want this county. The jungle is awkward, but I think it'll be okay. Our gold is coming in so slowly compared to what I'm used to. Wonderful. So at this point, we're mostly just watching for opportunities, right? I wouldn't mind getting this guy under control, like to the point of potentially thinking about fabricating over here. Yeah, let's do it. I would love to get this under control. That's kind of a good first step for us. To just start the snowball rolling a little bit. Now, we are currently fascinating Gavelkind, which isn't great. It's Mott's that's getting an exposure. Okay, we should probably go for... We're not really going to have much for de jure CBs at this point. I'm leaning towards either barracks or mustering grounds. Neither are really particularly important right now while we are working on getting our cash snowball rolling. So I think we'll hold off on really either of those. They're not particularly important. Ooh, Hill Farms is only 100 gold. That is definitely something that we should build next. And like I said, in these castles, we're going, well, particularly in these castles, we're going to be working on bulking up our number of troops. We also, at some point, need to increase our men-at-arms sizes. There's no doubt about that. What all do we have access to? We have armored footmen, we have onagers, we do have war elephants. They're good in jungle, they're bad in mountains, desert mountains, and wetlands. And bad in winter. They are excellent shock troops, though. That is true. Okay, good to know. Very good to know. So I'll think about what composition we want for that, for sure. And we are working our way through here. Of course, we're going to go into the avaricious tree. We just want to get as much gold coming in as we can for right now. The more gold that we can get at this juncture, the better off we will be. We do have too few spouses. That is true. We definitely should be looking to get some alliance power. This is not what I'm looking for. Alliance power. Okay. Sure. 1627. Is this the guy that we want to fight? No. Okay, do it. We don't want to be taking this piety penalty, after all. So what we're looking for right now is just to get ourselves some decent alliances, which this one would not get us an alliance, apparently. This one would not either. Oh, this is by relevance. Alliance power is the same. It looks like we can't get any more alliances, so let's look for congenital traits then. Ooh, intelligent. Nice. Anything else? We could go for hail, perhaps. Ooh, this'll work. There we go. Okay, so that should get rid of our piety penalty. Fantastic. And we have almost halfway finished construction on our logging camps. We do have the cash to construct the hill farms up here in this temple holding, and that's exactly what we will do. Fantastic. So we're getting these constructions underway, and they'll take a little while. Our designs are definitely on this guy. What is the line of succession over here? I mean, we don't have any daughters currently, so we can go for a dynasty legacy, and I really feel like marriage acceptance would be nice. I feel like working our way down the law tree would be pretty good. So would warfare. I'm actually going to go down the warfare tree for right now. We may split our time between those two. We'll see. However, we have reached the end of the first episode of this as yet unnamed series. By the time you see this, of course, it will have been named. But this is going to be a bit of a slow start, and we will, soon enough, be conquering India and the rest of Asia. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and I will see you all next time.